broadcasting station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
I feel the same. I've always thought you were absolutely the best and always enjoyed being around you. And
everything you said was absolutely 100% correct.
Man, is this the great Alan Cutler? Is this the infamous Alan Cutler?
Of all the broadcast television people that I've encountered, you are among the absolute elite.
Cut to the chase has a 5-length lead past the 16th pole. Cut to the chase. Victor Espinoza to win it.
Continue doing what you're doing. You're really good at it.
Be nice, America. Let's have a great day.
Win number 9. That's the future. That's the only goal I have.
They look like kittens more than wildcats, in my opinion.
Hello, Mark. Mr. Pope, 1996.
Oh, my gosh.
What?
Hey, let's give it up right here. This is my guy. Yes. I'm so happy to see you.
Hey, gratitude is a skill, guys. But if you practice, it will give you a joyful life regardless of your circumstances.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. QuantrellForLife.com.
Good afternoon. I'm Alan Cutler, honored and pleased to be with you. Thank you so much for joining us. We are efforting with our fingers crossed. Mark Pope and his press conference that's today, but it's not showing up on the screen. So Sean is in control. He'll give me a thumbs up. I'm going to guess technology-wise we'll be fine because I'm a positive kind of guy. Setting up the show, Zach Gagan will be joining us after the Pope press conference. Zach works for KSR, is really good. And then Roger Harden in the 1 o'clock hour. I love Roger. He's one of our best guests, but he's got this problem. It's called work. So he can't often join us. And so his kids are off from school. And so Roger will talk in the 1 o'clock hour. Looking forward to that. I was kind of excited when I saw that Andy Katz has the Kentucky-Alabama game as the number 1 game in the country this week. I kind of went, whoa, really? Whoa. So I'm super excited about that game on Saturday. I mean, super excited. One game doesn't make a season, but with the improvement of Kentucky basketball, I'm really curious to see how this team does playing a legitimate Southeastern Conference team, a team that is good enough to win the Southeastern Conference title this year. You know, plus, it's just going to be fascinating. I'm not saying you got to hold your breath, but if I was, let's say, a fan only, and if I grew up in Lexington or Heartland or something like that, my thought process would be a little uncomfortable, even with JQ coming back, because the season, this isn't breaking news, to me, hinges on a shoulder. And it's impossible for me to believe. I mean, impossible for me to believe that, you know, Lowe won't have some sort of problem again. It's possible, but it's impossible for me to believe because, unfortunately, I'm an expert on shoulders, and it doesn't take much to tweak it. It just doesn't. So we shall see. One of the things that's interesting, Pope on his call-in show last night talked about how JQ is doing better and that kind of thing. And he kind of teased us already, and he said it yesterday. I think you're going to see Kentucky play at times 2 big men. And I find it fascinating. And I've mentioned this before in the NBA. Houston is doing it, and there's a smidgen of some teams doing it. And I don't know if this is a trend, but, you know, basketball's, you know, positionless. That was one of the things Cal pushed a long time ago. He was ahead of the curve when it came to that. You want, you know, 5 guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot, that kind of stuff. It doesn't always work out with 5. But a lot of teams have, you know, 4 guys that can dribble, pass, and shoot. And the big man in the NBA, his value got negated tremendously, as a matter of fact. And there's no question there are some centers in the NBA that in the old days would have been drafted in the first round. And I've talked about this. They got drafted in the second round because their value in the position has gone down. Now, I don't know if that's going to change. And if it does, it might take a little time. But there were some pretty good centers in the NBA who were second-round draft choices. And again, 30 years ago, I'm not saying they've been the first pick or the fifth pick or that kind of thing. If a big man's going to be in the first 5 picks, you're going to be in the first 5 picks. But then you get to another level, and a lot of these guys ended up in the second round. So it'll be interesting. And I'm really fascinated to see how Kentucky looks when they play 2 big men, because they got 3, right? So you might as well play them. And if that helps with pounding the boards, and I still have Barkley in my head when he talked about, take the first good shot and go pound the backboard. And we are seeing a transformation of, guess what? This basketball team. There is no Pope stream. Computer issues. He will send a text. We will get a text when the file is up. So, Sean, I'm going to guess that we won't get the file at earliest by 1 o'clock. I mean, earliest.
Yeah, more than likely.
That would be my guess. And computer problems. It's amazing how smooth our radio show is until we have some computer problems, right, Sean? Everybody has computer problems. I mean, really, I know different people in different places that do what, I'm doing right now. And it's like, oh, man, all this computer stuff is great until it's not. And it's interesting how many stations have some computer problems. So UK has a computer problem. It happens. It happens a lot. So no Pope. I will be looking at Twitter to see what and if he says. But Sean, I'm telling you, I am fascinated to see as the season develops how much time is donated towards playing 2 big men at once. Do I see Pope starting a game that way? Maybe. Would depend upon the matchup. It would. But one of the things that Popes was pushing yesterday is that JQ is doing better and better and all that kind of stuff. And the fact that he's not going to start Lowe, even though Lowe is doing better. And I still stand by this. Lowe, when he was out for that, after 7 seconds, it came back in the second half and was wonderful. He was obviously the difference in the game. I don't know how they win the game without him. Seriously. I mean, it's just different. It's just totally different. I just don't know how you can rely upon him to win a national championship. I really don't. And that's why I don't think today, in my mind, Kentucky's one of those teams to win the national championship. Now, if you would tell me that Lowe is okay and he'll be able to play every single game, even if he's not 100%, but at least as good as he was the last time he played, and I would think if he keeps on playing and doesn't have a setback, he's going to get in better shape. And I'm not saying he's lazy, and I'm not saying he's not in the proper shape because of his work ethic. I'm saying he's not in proper shape because he hasn't played enough basketball. And I'm not so sure as to when that'll happen. And you can do all this running on the side in the pools and this and that and the other, but you need contact. And what Kentucky is doing, and I think it's smart what they're doing, I think they're trying to sincerely limit the contact he has. And it's like anything else. If you keep on limiting it and it's a smart thing to do, then when you get it, it feels kind of different. So that's why I don't have Kentucky in that group of winning a national championship. By the way, if everybody was healthy, would I have them in the group? Absolutely. Absolutely. So we'll see. We'll absolutely see. Am I still excited about the future of the team? Absolutely. Absolutely. And here's the other thing. And I talked about this the other day. For people to say automatically that Jasper Johnson can't end up being a really good point guard, I think is ludicrous. And by the way, I'm not predicting he's going to be a really good backup point guard. I'm not. But I use Cam Williams as the example. Okay, he had 8 of 10 the other day. Maybe he'll have another game like that sometime in college. Maybe not. Maybe not. The point is this. How many of you wrote him off in the first month of the season? How many of you wrote him off and said, this is a Tulane player. He's not a Kentucky player. Forget back that he shot, what was it, 41% or something like that from threes downtown. Many of you wrote him off, and I didn't. And I didn't predict he'd shoot 8 of 10. No, but I did say, transferring at times you have to give people some time. And so I have no prediction if Jasper Johnson is going to be a wonderful backup point guard this year. I'm open-minded to it. Jasper is a really smart kid. He is fearless. He handles pressure really well. At times now, he is really more a shoot-first kind of point guard, and he's getting a feel for it. I think he's just going to get better and better as a backup point guard. Is it ideal? Nope. Nope. Is it possible? Is it possible by March he's a damn good backup point guard? Yes, and I just want to watch it. I want to see how it grows and develops. And the fact that he gave him so many minutes against Bellarmine was smart. I know it's Bellarmine, and I'm the guy that keeps on pushing forever. It's Bellarmine, and it really doesn't mean much, and it really doesn't, because you're doing at least good stuff against what I would call, I'm not saying they're a bad team, but they're a bad team compared to the SEC. Now, can Jasper Johnson do that kind of thing against Alabama? And I have no idea. It's a different set of athletes, totally different. It's a different ballgame, different confidence. I'm expecting a loud, kind of crazy crowd when Kentucky goes to Alabama. That's what everyone expects. How will they deal with it? How will the team deal with it? I don't know. So, Lowe looks terrific in practice, so says Pope, but he's not going to start. And I actually agree with that. It's funny. Pope didn't call me, Sean. I don't know why he didn't, but I actually agree with that. Because now you're shortening the game a little bit. You are. Because I don't see this kid playing 32 minutes a game this year. Maybe. I'm open-minded to it. Maybe. We will see. But you're shortening the game by 4 or 5 minutes on each side, so that's about 8 minutes less. And here's the other thing. When he comes in, he's been watching, he's been observing, and he's a smart kid. Remember, he's been a point guard his whole life. Remember, his dad's a basketball dude. Okay. Remember, John Lucas, the great John Lucas, if you followed basketball, who's helped so many people out with rehab. John Lucas was All-American when it came to basketball. Many people thought he could have made a fortune on the tennis tour as well. And he went through all these drug problems, and he has saved so many athletes. It's not even funny. But he's also a really smart guy and turned down head coaching jobs to do what he's doing to help young people out and that kind of thing, because he thought that was his mission. And it's been a beautiful thing what he's done. It really is. So when you're around people like Lucas, who's a savant when it comes to being a point guard kind of coach, I mean, this kid was basically born to be a point guard. So we shall see. Jeff Drummond put this up. Jeff put it on Twitter, and I'm just reading it verbatim. Kentucky head coach Mark Pope was asked on his weekly radio show if they're, quote, looking at NBA players, end of quote. Now, Jeff put it this way. Pope kind of brushes it off, says that 80% of what you see as far as UK recruiting on social media is, quote, so off, it's so wrong, end of quote. But he didn't completely dismiss it, though. So a couple things. Do I think that Mark Pope spends any time on social media looking at recruiting? Nope. I could be wrong. Do I think there's some people who know something about recruiting in the Kentucky basketball who look? Yep. But you know what's interesting? There isn't a lot out there on social media compared to the good old days with, I say that sarcastically, with John Calipari. There just isn't. They're playing a little closer to the vest. I think there's fewer conversations with people about what Kentucky does recruiting. And I do buy this. And this has been going on forever. A lot of the things that happen on social media are because agents are pushing a name. And this has been going on before I got to Lexington in the 80s. Seriously. You got a kid who's a really good basketball player. Let's say Kentucky sent a letter. That's right. There were letters back in the good old days. And so just because it's a letter doesn't mean it's really heavy recruiting. I mean, there are so many kids, we get so many letters from so many different schools, it's not even funny. But that doesn't mean it's necessarily followed up by a phone call. Now a text. But a phone call. But what would happen is you got a kid who's got 100 letters. Very often it's very early in the high school career. And what is he saying? Hey, Kentucky's recruiting me. Well, there's a yes and no. Yes, because you got a letter. But no, if all of a sudden there aren't coaches coming to watch you play or talking to your high school coach or talking to you or talking, which was then powerful, the AAU coach. It's kind of a bogus thing. It's legitimate because you got a letter, but it's really not legitimate in my mind. It becomes legitimate quite simply when, guess what? Hey, a coach says, can I come watch your practice? Can I come watch a game? Can I do this? Can I do that? I'm interested. And you start talking to people. That's when you're getting recruited. And oftentimes, and I know this is true, and anybody who's done this for a long time knows it's true, there are kids who would say, hey, Kentucky's recruiting me. And that could amplify on these lists of the top 100 players or so, or top 200 players. You can amplify it. I can tell you there have been so many times, I mean so many times, where Kentucky is a finalist for a kid, whether the kid ends up coming to Kentucky or not through the years, and all of a sudden, boom, their stock goes up in the top 150 players. And there have been times, I can't give you examples off the top of my head, where a kid was, let's say, 105. You know, not everybody's in the top 10 that Kentucky recruited all these years, was 105. And all of a sudden they commit to Kentucky. And no, they're not in the top 10, but all of a sudden they're 68, 70, 72, that kind of thing. Boom, because Kentucky wants you. It does. It happens. It happens all the time. So I don't know where Pope got that when he said social media stuff in recruiting, it's so off, it's so wrong. My perception has always been the same. You take the recruiting things that you see on social media with a grain of salt. There is also, and I don't have a list in front of me, but, you know, guys that I follow, that there are certain organizations and some of these recruiting experts that are damn good. And so there are certain people that I follow when I see that they're saying so-and-so, you know, is in the final 5 or final 3, I generally buy it. Oftentimes, though, somebody's in the final 3 and they're really not in the final 3. They might be in the final 3, but it's really down to 1 or 2. Now, that sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but it's true. It's true. It happens. It absolutely happens. Let's do a little Kentucky things when it comes to football. I find it interesting, and with all the talk about Cutter, and I'm going to do something every day about Cutter. By the way, there's no show tomorrow, no show January 1st, and back to normal on January 2nd. As much as talk about the quarterback, and I'm going to mention it again because I'm going to mention it every day until this thing is complete. I think you have to. I don't think you can get away with it. But I stand by this with all the thought process of quarterback and Cutter or not Cutter. To me, in my world, the biggest question mark is offensive line. It is. They got a whole bunch of offensive linemen on the team. I have no clue how many of them are good enough to start next year and be really good starting offensive linemen in the Southeastern Conference. Am I going to guess? There's probably at least a couple that have improved to the point that they're ready. That would be a guess. That's all it is. Do I think they have a lot of offensive linemen that could be good offensive linemen at another level, or they're not ready yet? Yep, I do. The number? Don't know. But no matter who the quarterback is, if you don't improve this offensive line in the portal, you're screwed. You're screwed. I thought it was fascinating that LSU has not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 offensive linemen in the portal. And you look at the LSU offensive linemen, and a lot of them look like NFL players. But LSU sucked running the ball last year. So was that the running backs? Was that the coaching? Were some of these quote-unquote 5-star and 4-star offensive linemen overrated? Don't know. Don't know. But I do know this. You got the people like Sloan, okay, who have Louisiana ties, and I would assume that Kentucky is going very hard for offensive linemen. And to me, although the conversation is always about the quarterback, the offensive line to me is absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. Absolutely huge. And how they're kind of working with their budget and how you're going to have backups. And the first thing you have to do is get a starting 5 offensive line. That's the first thing you got to do. You really do. And so it's going to be fascinating. I'm going to guess. Now, there's going to be some surprises, that most of these big-time schools have a great idea as to who they think they're going to get. What will also happen, and this has happened forever in recruiting, but I think now more so than ever before, let's say, Sean, you're an offensive lineman, and you're pretty good, and they're going to pay you $500,000 to be a starting guard for the University of Kentucky. You good with that? Will you take $500,000? I guess Sean is holding out for more money.
Yes, I am holding out for more money.
I'm going to tell that to Lynn Martin. You're holding out for more money. So, you know, here's what will happen. In recruiting, oftentimes people change their mind at the last minute for various reasons. Sometimes it's over the table. Sometimes it's under the table. In the good old days, sometimes a mom or a dad wanted you to go someplace, and at the last minute, you decided, no, this is where I wanted to go. And I've told this story before. Ralph Sampson. John, I wonder how many people listening now remember Ralph Sampson 7'4".
There's probably a few. I have only the vaguest memory myself.
Okay, I was going to say about half. Interesting. 7'4". And there were people at UK who believed until he put on the Virginia hat, he was going where? To Kentucky. Can you imagine having Bowie, Turpin, and Ralph Sampson? I mean, seriously. Sean, you could have brought the ball up.
Yeah.
Probably. Actually, you want to know something? Bowie could have brought the ball up. Back in those days. No, I'm serious. Joe B. Hall didn't want, big men doing anything but being big men and stuff like that. But guys have told me through the years, and Sam I've talked to Sam forever. I need to try to get him on the show. Sam could really handle the ball. His dad played for, I think it was the Magicians, which was kind of like a minor league Globetrotter team. And if Sam Bowie played today and he was healthy, he would be one of the top 50 players in the history of the NBA because he could shoot now and he could dribble. He could really dribble. And until he hurt his knees, oh my gosh, the way he could run the court and his coordination, he probably could have brought the ball up if you really had nobody else. I'm serious as a heart attack. And I've talked to those guys through the years about, oh my gosh, in the summertime, when I think it was an alumni gym or alumni hall. Can't remember what it's called, but that was the old place where they would do pickup games and stuff like that, unless my memory is failing me right now. It would be really hot in the summertime, and the way they were playing, and Sam would shoot all over the place and bring the ball up because guys did whatever they wanted to do. But there are people. I know Leonard Hamilton thought he was coming, and at the end, he put on a Virginia hat. So those things happening. Now, it could happen for all those reasons and then some. So, Sean, let's say I have the wherewithal to offer you $500,000 to play the offensive line for Kentucky. And you say, I'm coming. That can't, blah, 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 blah. And then when the portal opens on January 2nd and you're the Kentucky coach and you're trying to get these kids to sign as quickly as possible, Vandy offers $600,000. That's going to happen. That's the added push to what's going on. Now you have two choices. Duh. Does Kentucky want to match it or top it, or vice versa? Do I think this is going to happen a lot? I absolutely do. Absolutely do. That you've got a basic verbal commitment from a player, and at the last minute, somebody comes in and tops the offer. It's kind of like in a different way and with less money. Oh my gosh, it just hit me, with less money. So you've heard this line, hey, it's better to be an undrafted free agent in the NFL than be a 7th-round pick because some of these guys actually make more money. All of them? No. The first 10, 15, 20 guys? Yup, pretty consistently, because oftentimes there's 3 teams going for your services. And the budgets that they have, some of these teams for the undrafted free agents, in the 5th round, what's going on, there are teams calling all over the place to a guy who might be not drafted and say, hey, look, if you don't get drafted, we're interested, we want to sign you. It's huge. And very often a player and agents will tell you it's better not to get drafted because all of a sudden 3 teams are bidding for your services. It's not like you're going to make $1 million. It's not that kind of money. It's not even big money. It's big money to me, probably big money to you, but it's not big money. All of a sudden there are guys undrafted making another $10, $15, $20, $50,000 more because they weren't drafted. It's true. This is not a new story. This is different, though. So now you got a budget you're working with for much bigger dollars. Son, is it crazy? I'm talking about it's a bigger budget for college than the NFL. You know what? They came out of my mouth. One, I knew I was right, but that's not the point. But 2, it just felt weird. Does that make any sense? It really felt weird. Who the hell thought I'd ever say that the budgets in college? Now, granted, you're talking about undrafted free agents, but you know what? There's a lot of really good undrafted free agents that are very good players in the National Football League. Seriously.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is now, but I remember when I was doing the Bengals, and I haven't done the Bengals in a long time. When I was the Bengals Radio Network, one of the things that was always a story when the rosters are set within Baltimore, how many years in a row that somebody who was a rookie, undrafted free agent made the team. It was crazy over the last, 20-something years. And it was many years in a row. And it was, deemed a great scouting thing. So anyway, back to you, Sean. There's $100,000 sitting on the table, and I'm sorry I negated you right now to continue talking about this. But the truth is, if you look at it and you evaluate it, now you have a choice. Vandy's offering you $600. You're going to Vandy, aren't you, if Kentucky doesn't up the offer, right?
Oh, yeah.
So there's going to be a lot. The number, I have no clue. I'm not even going to guess. I'm going to tell you, I know for sure the way the business is, there's going to be a lot of kids change their mind at the last minute. There will be. And there's going to be a lot of scrambling going on. I mean, a whole lot of scrambling going on. And this is the point where Stein not being here, I think, hurts. Now, do I believe he's being loyal to Oregon? Absolutely. Do I believe he's being loyal to Kentucky? Absolutely. Do I believe that every second of his day when he's inside the Oregon facilities, every single second is on Oregon and there isn't some time on Kentucky? I don't believe that for a second. Even though he said it and everybody who's doing this, splitting job thing, they say, do I believe his head is at Oregon? Yes. Yes, but he's also thinking about Kentucky. And look, if you have to make a phone call because you're about to lose a kid, right, unless you're in a meeting or something like that, can you make a quick text or that kind of thing? Yes. I get why you're saying it. I don't believe it for a second. I'm not calling anybody a liar, but Sean, it's impossible for me to believe. You got an assistant coach about to come and somebody else make an offer and you're in a meeting and that kind of stuff and somebody's offering a little bit more. You're really not going to do anything till the end of the day till you get home for maybe not getting a coach? Seriously.
No, there's no chance.
There's no chance. And so, and by the way, there have been a number of coaches, and I've looked at every single one that I've seen out there who are doing the split job kind of thing. Not just Stein, but there's more and more doing it. A ton, no, but there's more and more. I'm loyal while I'm in the building. Mostly, yes. Totally, no. It's total BS. So if somebody wants to, who's listening, who monitors what I say about Kentucky, Kentucky said that Stein's BS. No, I think he's just being a coach. I think he's saying the right thing. And by the way, do I think his relationship with Lanning, the Oregon coach, is legitimate? Absolutely. Do I think, and this is one of the things about some of the crap Stein took that really bothered me. In the press conference here, I respected him tremendously when he pointed out all the good things in his life because he was at Louisville. Instead of being disingenuous and say, thumbs down, I hate Louisville. No. His life improved by going to Louisville. Kentucky didn't want him. Would have been the same if he came to Kentucky? I have no idea. All I know, he respects a lot of people at Louisville. I respect that. He's got lifelong friends from there. But you have to look at reality. You just have to do. And I think when this portal opens on January 2nd, it's not a time for Stein to take a day off from Oregon. It's not. This thing is going to be hopping around like crazy. So there'll be more changing at the end. And you're going to have people inside UK, like in Vanderbilt and all kinds of other stuff. You have a budget. Now, all of a sudden, you got to pay $100,000 more for this kid, $200,000 more for this kid. You're going to lose this kid. Now you got to go back in the hopper with somebody who was on your secondary list and make a phone call. And a lot of these agents know, okay, you're on our second tier. Okay, that's the truth. Okay, now that guy left, and do you want to consider us really quick? Do I think they'll get some kids that way? Maybe. Do I think they'll miss on some kids, and this is any school? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm going to be basically as fascinated about the offensive line as I am the quarterback. That's just me. Do I think 5 offensive linemen for LSU come to Kentucky? Hell no. Would I be surprised if one showed up? No. No, they need offensive linemen. So before we take a break, it's 12:30 already. I think Zach is coming up next from KSR. If Pope's press conference is over, and he doesn't usually go past 12:30, so we'll see. But I continue to say Zach is in. Okay. I continue to say the same thing about Cutter. Do I think he wants to be here? Absolutely. Do I think he knows 100% that he's wanted? Absolutely not, unless something's changed. Stein has to do what Stein has to do. It's his team, his program. And do I think they're trying to recruit over him? I absolutely do. And anybody out there, and I've been saying this for well over a week, if Cutter ends up leaving, and some of you out there think it's disingenuous and he's not being loyal, all I got to do is, you're entitled to your opinion. Shame on you. Shame on you. The kid needs to be a starting quarterback, whether it's for Kentucky or somebody else. The kid has chances in lots of different places, as you would expect. You think Ty Bryant, who's coming back next year, didn't have chances to leave? Stop it. Is everything all about money? No. And I've said this before. Nobody's asking me. It's not like the family's calling me, but I would take less money to be the starting quarterback at Kentucky than to go someplace else as a backup for more money. That's me. I'm not suggesting it's out there. I'm saying it's not all about money. I think Cutter Bowley knows. I think his family knows. I think his agent knows. I think most people who know football know that if you're quarterback, you got to play. And so he's got to play. And if it ends up he being the starting quarterback, that's spectacular for Cutter, and I think it'd be great for Kentucky. But do I think it's a done deal? No, because if it was, it'd leak out somehow that he signed. It'd leak out. And since the portal opens January 2nd and all kinds of deals are either done quietly or about to be done, and so many more with offers on the table as young people and agents are deciding where to go, this thing ain't done. It's just not done. And so the truth is, we don't know. We don't know. And because it's Cutter, and he's a Kentucky boy, and he's the quarterback, do I think it's different? Absolutely. And I can tell you, absolutely, this is a great deal this holiday season. Give the gift of adventure with Quantrell Subaru. Right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. I like that name. Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to one of 5 amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. And Quantrell Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased and every new Subaru leased now through January 2nd. But Ari, isn't it amazing? January 2nd is like almost here. Be part of the community and make a difference during the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrell Subaru. Learn more at QuantrellSubaru.com. And don't forget about Volvo. Don't forget about Cadillac. Obviously, don't forget about Subaru. We have the XC60, the Volvo. We love it. It's a hybrid. It's the smoothest car we've ever had. Absolutely. We love it. And we've now had 3 cars in over a decade from Quantrell. I trust them. They're a people organization that happens to sell cars. That's how I look at them. Big Zach coming up next. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
The Alan Cutler Show on ESPN 92.5 and 1300 AM and on the ESPN Lexington app. Presented by Republic Bank.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. Have a no-filter comment? Hit the text line, 859-381-1313. 859-381-1313.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
My name is Terry Schultz, CEO for the Rutherford County Area Habitat for Humanity. Republic Bank has really been a game changer. They have invested not only financially, but time to really listen so that we can move our mission forward. What I like about Republic Bank is they've come in asking, what are your needs? And I don't know that you get that any other place.
That's Terry's story. Now let's get to work on yours. Republic Bank. Time to thrive. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Alan Cutler. This holiday season, give the gift of adventure with Quantrell Subaru. Right now, the 2025 Subaru Share the Love event. Subaru will donate $250 to one of 5 amazing nonprofits, including the Hope Center. And Quantrell Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased or leased now through January 2nd. Be part of the community and help make a difference through the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrell Subaru. Learn more at QuantrellSubaru.com.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are you doing, Uncle Rick?
I'm looking at these twinkle lights, 250 strands of lights, 100 individual bulbs per strand, for a grand total of 25,000 twinkle lights.
Well, it looks like you're not quite ready for the holidays yet. Here at Clark's Pub and Shop, we are. We have 5-hour energy shots, buy 2, get 1 free, and Mike and Ike or Hot Tamales Theater Box Candy, 2 for $2.
Maybe I should wrap up my lights so I can get over to Clark's Pub and Shop.
Uncle Rick, the little lights aren't blinking.
I know, Carlo. I know.
Happy holidays from the Clark family.
Hear the best SEC talk in America on the Paul Feinbaum Show with me, Paul Feinbaum. Weekdays 3 to 7 on ESPN 92.5 and 1300 AM.
Back to No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler. Podcasts on Apple, Spotify, and Google, Monday through Friday.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. Before I introduce Zach, hopefully properly, I just saw this line, Zach. I got to throw it at you. Steve Peichel, I really like it. I think he's done a hell of a job at Rutgers. They underachieved last year with 2 big-time players, and there's some heat on him. But, I go back to Stony Brook with him. I think he's a hell of a coach. So he was asked about adding, every coach is being, hey, you're going to add somebody midseason roster. Hey, Pope, can you get somebody in Europe who's be the best point guard in the country? Zach, you're going to like this. Quote, I'd like to get a 36-year-old with 4 kids and is hungry for a job. I'd like to get one of those guys. In other words, can we get some damn effort around here? I mean, effort. Zach Gagan does a really good job for KSR, kind enough to join us. How are you, dude? Don't you love that quote?
Yeah, he's not wrong either, kind of in a way. So I like that quote a lot.
Who is the kid's name? I can't remember. And if you do that's great. But plays for Ole Miss, and I'm not talking about Perry. One of the kids that they brought in, I think it's 4 schools in 4 years, whatever. And he wasn't hustling.
AJ Storr.
Yes. And Beard put him on the bench. And so what Beard did, which I thought was really smart, he sticks him out there for the post-game interview. And somebody asked him, well, what do you have to do to get back in the lineup? And he said, I don't know. Wow. Can you dive on the floor for loose ball? Can you hustle your fanny off? I mean, how do you not understand that if you work? That, look, Chris Bird's a tough guy. So what? A lot of coaches are tough. The kid starts hustling like crazy. You don't think Beard will change his mind right away? That's what coaches do. So that's why the Peichel quote is unbelievable. So, 1, tell everybody in the world how to follow you. And 2, apparently there was a problem with the feed. So tell us what the best thing, because you just were doing the Pope thing, weren't you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was over there. It was a kind of a light media crowd today. I guess everyone's still kind of enjoying their little week off. But yeah, I was over there today. Okay, so you got home pretty quick. I'm impressed. Yeah. And for a guy who lived close to campus, you got a nice microphone. You've improved your system. Good for you. So what was the best thing that Pope said today? Best thing he said today, I don't know. Some of the things he talked about was the denim uniforms. I thought was really interesting because, he announced those the day of Christmas, said that those have been in the works for about 1.5 years now. And he said we'd be surprised at how difficult it is to kind of get all that stuff approved through Nike and all that and UK and everything. And honestly, I don't think I'd be surprised. I feel like that probably is kind of a nightmare getting all that stuff approved and everything. But he's excited to roll those out. He kind of broke the news to me that Alabama shot 54 threes last night in their game. I think they made 20 of them. So I didn't realize that. I know they're still kind of emphasizing the NATOs, shoot as many threes as you can, but 54 threes in one game attempts is kind of insane. And then Jaden Quaintance, actually, this one is definitely the most notable thing he said. He talked about Jaden Quaintance playing the 4 pretty much all day in practice yesterday. So I think because we've seen a little bit of the Brandon Garrison, Jaden Quaintance front court lineup. So it looks like he's going to maybe toy with that a little bit more moving forward, and playing JQ at the 4. I think that's kind of something that JQ himself wants to experiment with more a little bit as well. Maybe see if you can let him shoot a couple threes here and there, see if he gets one to drop. So JQ playing the 4 is definitely interesting, and I'm sure we'll see a little bit of that against Alabama on Saturday in Tuscaloosa.
I've been talking about that for the last couple of days, and I think it's fascinating. I don't know how much you follow. Yeah, you follow the NBA. I've read your stuff.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Pardon me for pausing on you. I'm bowing to you right now because that was a really smart way you got moved up on KSR, which good for you. Houston, as you know, I'm not saying that they're trendsetters, but maybe they are a little bit. They're going big very often. And I'm not saying it's totally changing, but I think you're going to see more and more teams go big. This dribble, pass, and shoot and that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of 6'9" guys, as you know, that can dribble, pass, and shoot. But power is coming back. To what degree? Don't know. But I think it's just starting. And I got to tell you, I'm fascinated by Kentucky playing 2 big men, as long as they have somebody who can bring the ball up court. We'll get into that in a second. Fascinating. To me, it's a nightmare. And I was looking through who they're playing and looking through some rosters and stuff like that. Didn't look through everybody and trying to remember some things. I got to tell you, Zach, if they play 2 big men for a good chunk of the game and pound the boards, wow. I mean, now you're going to have to stop Kentucky. Now, if they play with the toughness they started playing with after being kind of wimpy, and if that bothers somebody in UK, they can kiss my you-know-what, because they played wimpy. Go get a damn rebound. Go dive on the floor. That was the criticism of Kentucky, not the fact that their guys were out, the fact that they played wimpy. Well, now they're playing tough. Give them all the credit in the world. They do that. They could be scary if they get the ball across the midcourt line.
Yeah, the 2 bigs is definitely interesting because Pope did experiment a little bit with it with Malachi and Brandon Garrison throughout early in the season, but kind of went away from it fast. I mean, I feel like the reason that it kind of went away from playing 2 bigs was something like what you said, where a lot of these bigs just weren't comfortable shooting the ball and bringing the ball to the floor, whereas now they are, especially with a guy like Jaden Quaintance, who was, the second half of that St. John's game, he took the ball from the top of the key and hit Zuby with a step or a crossover move and got to the lane and to his spot. So guys are just more skilled now. And you saw the Timberwolves did this a few years ago with Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert. They played those 2 guys together. They went to the Western Conference Finals. The Timberwolves trade Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle. So now you have Julius Randle and Rudy Gobert as their 2 front court guys. They again go to the Western Conference Finals. So it is kind of trending more in that direction because all these big guys can now handle the ball a little bit better. Maybe Rudy Gobert isn't the best example for that, what I'm talking about there. But the general sense that you can play, 2 bigs together again, and kind of to counter some of these really small, maybe faster paced lineups by going extra big with guys that are skilled. And Kentucky certainly has. I mean, Jaden Quaintance is about as skilled as you're going to find as a 4-man in college basketball. So, especially if he can come out here and, knock down a 3 a game or something like that, then you're really talking about being able to spread the floor. He's got some passing touch too. So, I think Pope has mostly done Jaden Quaintance with Brandon Garrison. So it'll be interesting to see if he prefers to put those 2 together, or if he puts Malachi with Jaden Quaintance as well, or if he experiments more with with Malachi Moreno and Brandon Garrison together. So he's got some options that he can go with there. But like you said, I mean, when you've got 2 bigs like that and Kentucky's putting in the effort on the glass and then just in the game in general that they have the last couple of weeks, you can see Pope's vision there in terms of wanting to really load up his front court.
By the way, I think the Rudy Gobert Towns example is a really good one. I disagree with you. You threw it out there. I think it's a very good example. Houston's doing it. They did it. I think you're going to see some more. The Knicks are doing it a little bit too, which I like. Because, and this is the part I just can't get over how Oscar doesn't have a job with consistent basis in the NBA, because Robinson, he's bigger than Oscar. He's much bigger much taller and stuff like that. But Oscar, I think, can rebound as good as Robinson. I think he can block shots as good as Robinson. And I can't believe there's not a spot for him. Robertson is an unbelievable rebounder. He must average the most rebounds per minute of anybody in the NBA, and he just goes and gets the damn ball. I mean, it's unbelievable. So, no, I think this trend is happening, and I think it's good. And by the way, I was being facetious about getting the ball across the midcourt line. Hopefully, people can understand my facetiousness. I can see somebody saying, "Okay, you can't get the ball." No, the point being is, what I don't like, if you're a Kentucky fan and you're season, as far as I'm concerned, is on the line. You can get to the Final Four or deep in the NCAA tournament if Flo's not there, but I don't think you can win the national championship with Lowe out unless Jasper Johnson turns into a stud point guard. That's me, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if Lowe is healthy, now, I mean, put him in a group of 5 or 6 to win a national championship. You agree with that?
I want to see a little bit more of it actually altogether, because we really only have the final 15 minutes of that St. John's game to go off of, because Lowe obviously didn't play versus Bellarmine. JQ kind of didn't play as well. So, but I agree with you in the sense that Kentucky's going to go as far as Jalen Lowe's healthy shoulder can take them. Like it's every time Pope talks, he doesn't seem too sure that Jaden Lowe is going to be able to make it through every game, and it just sounds like at this point it's just going to be a miracle if this kid can make it through the rest of the season without hurting his shoulder again. It's just going to be the matter of managing the pain, making sure that he can get through each game healthy and unscathed, and whenever he is playing, he makes the offense that much better because he can get into the paint, he can touch the paint, he can help get guys open just by using his gravity of getting inside. But I am interested to see how much more they use Jasper Johnson in that point guard role, and how much do they try and force feed him those minutes and see if he can just get a little bit more comfortable, because I think that's kind of been his thing, is he just hasn't been too comfortable in these big game settings, at least. So he's obviously a high level talent, so the only way to get experience is by putting him out there. So if you want him to grow and develop into a guy that you can kind of trust to take over in the case that Lowe can't play or is, only playing 20 minutes a game, you got to get Jasper Johnson in a spot to do that, because it definitely doesn't seem like adding some sort of mid-season point guard is on the table. I mean, Oscar's been he's been tweeting about wanting to come back and use his eligibility, so I think he technically has a year left from the COVID, so throw him back on the roster too. Why not,
I think he's probably making more than Kentucky's going to pay him.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's making 7 figures. Well, they can play 7 figures. Can you imagine the story will be $25 million roster, that kind of stuff? Yeah, this whole thing is crazy. By the way, and I've been using this example, I don't know if Jasper Johnson can be a really good backup point guard this year. But I do know this, for people to say he can't is silly. Sometimes you really don't know, and you got to let it involve. And I keep on using Cam Williams as an example. Come on, how many times have you seen early on this year that people wanted to dump him? Don't play him. Let him go back to Tulane. He shot 41% there. He can't even hit the rim. And I kept on saying, I didn't know he was going to shoot 8 for 10 against Bellarmine, but I thought he would probably get past his shooting woes. And one of the reasons why Pope stayed with him is, because he started playing really good defense. I can't forget that block he made, but it's more than just that one block. And so I'm saying people grow and develop. And so all the people who are listening now who wrote off Cam Williams, and now he's on an NBA draft list again, which is really interesting. And he's not even getting starting minutes, because if he can shoot, they'll find a spot for you, even if he's in the G League next year, getting stronger. The point is this. I'm not saying Jasper can be a really good backup point guard by the end of the year. I'm saying I don't know. And I'm saying sometimes you have to wait and see. And look how much Cam Williams has improved since first game to now. It's remarkable. I don't think he's done improving. So why can't Jasper potentially? He's a smart kid. He's calm. He's been raised the right way. He comes from the great athletics families in the history of the state. His grandfather, Albus, God rest his soul, was such a mentor to him. And Albus was as good as it gets when it comes to people. I'm open-minded to it. And people saying he can't do it, that crap drives me nutsack.
No, I'm with you. I'm totally with you. You got to give him a chance is kind of the thing. Cam Williams, at least he's played more consistent minutes and high level minutes than Jasper. So it kind of felt like it was a matter of time for Cam, because Cam came into that Bellarmine game shooting 22% from 3. He came out of it shooting 35% from 3 on the season. That's how quickly things can change with just one game, with the perception of a single player. So as Jasper just continues to get more minutes, and I think he will, because they're just in a spot right now where they're going to need to find somebody to really soak up those point guard minutes, because I think it's becoming clear that while Colin Chandler and Denzel Labradine can do that a little bit, that's obviously not their preferred role. So Jasper, he clearly has the talent. We've watched him play all through high school. We know the shot making is there. The confidence is never lacking. Like you say, he's got a great support system around him. So I guess there's no reason to believe he can't actually go out there and be the backup point guard until we have enough of a sample size to believe, okay, he can't. And I don't think we're there yet. So he's definitely going to have his opportunity. And I mean, Alabama was a team that he nearly chose. It was Kentucky, North Carolina, Alabama. So what better way to kind of announce yourself than by going down to Tuscaloosa and having a pretty good game off the bench? So I think it's only a matter of time before Jasper kind of hits his groove. But it's gonna be some, there's gonna be some bumps in the road. He's still a freshman. He's still only 13 or 14 games into his college career. So it's gonna take some time. There will be mistakes, but I think he's a kid that you should let him play through those mistakes and just kind of see what you have, because he's really, really talented. So you just don't want to leave a guy that's talented just kind of wasting on the bench. You want to see what he can do. And I think Pope, we know that Pope is really generous with his rotation, his lineups, and his minutes. So I think as long as Jasper's in good graces, he's going to get his opportunities to go out there and actually make a statement and establish himself as a 15-minute guy who can come off the bench and play point guard.
You worried about them dealing with pressure, Kentucky, when it comes to playing at Alabama? You worried about that at all? By the way, it was 22 of 54. I looked it up.
That's a lot of threes.
Well, yeah, not only that, but okay, they only took 77 shots, so they only had 23 shots that weren't three-point shots. That's nuts, and they shot 41%, and you can say it's Yale, but the Bulldogs from Yale are 11-2, and they've played some pretty nice basketball it's not like all of a sudden they just started playing basketball and that kind of thing. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, the second they cross half court, they're ready to fire him. That's how Alabama operates. So
okay, so it's help me gestate this number. So Alabama makes 22 threes, and they took 23 twos.
That's an interesting shot diet. I think that's what a lot of fans kind of expect out of Pope, and he just maybe not has the roster for it this year at least.
No, he doesn't. That's incredible. I'm just staring at this. The 54 is one thing, but to shoot 41% off 54, let's put it this way. If Alabama makes 22 threes and shoots 41% against Kentucky, Kentucky has no shot, and they're going to get their fannies blown out. Do you agree?
Yes. If Alabama shoots 22 of 54 from three against Kentucky, I would imagine that score will be a little bit lopsided. But Kentucky's a pretty good three-point shooting defensive team, at least holding opponents under 30%. So that is an area of strength. But if you really want to know how much of a strength it is, you're going to find out by the end of Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and their strength is helped by some of the cupcakes they played, and the strength was helped by the fact that I can't believe Rick Pitino has a team that can't shoot like this. They're awful. I mean, Rick Pitino, the guy who pushed the three-point shot before anybody else, has a team of non-shooters. And I never thought he had many great shooting teams at Louisville, and I always criticized him for that. But to me, it's baffling. So I think, and I'm not negating Kentucky, but I think Kentucky's numbers when it comes to guarding the three are skewed unfairly, and they're not the only one. When you're playing cupcakes and stuff like that, and they're shooting 22% and 25%, and they're not going to make the NCAA tournament, it means nothing to me. No?
Well, I think the Indiana game would be the one that you look at if you're trying to build your case on that if you're a Kentucky fan, because Indiana came in pretty prolific three-point shooting team, and Kentucky was – I think there was luck is into all basketball, so you got to factor that in. But I think there was maybe some shooting luck with some of Indiana's players missing some clean looks, but they did a really good job overall holding Tucker DeVries and Lamar Wilkerson to not, going off and hitting 5 or 6 threes. So there is kind of a roadmap there, but I think Alabama is a little bit, even a tier higher than Indiana in terms of how much they want to shoot them and how many guys they have that can shoot them. So, but you're right. Like when you play 6 or 7 of those teams that are outside the top 200 in KenPom, it can be hard to kind of figure out exactly where or how true that three-point shooting defense is. I'm not sure what the actual three-point shooting defense number is against the Power 4 teams, but I'm sure it's, an average number, a solid number for UK.
Yeah, solid, but not in the of the
not
elite.
28% or whatever it is overall.
And your IU example is absolutely perfect. There's no question about it. I guess the good news is, as much as any coach could say, we got to guard the three, by Alabama doing that against Yale, it should be easy to see how high the players pick up the shooters from Alabama. Mm-hmm. Like, are they going to be picking them up shortly past the midcourt line? And I guess your problem with that is there's the converse to that. If an Alabama player is quicker and you do that and you blow by the Kentucky player, well, not necessarily taking it to the hole, but now you're going to have to switch and somebody else might be open. So there's kind of a fine line as to when you pick up the players and stuff like that. And that's one of the little things I'm going to be looking for on Saturday. I don't think they're going to be picking up across the midcourt line. I do think they're going to be picking up before the 3-point line. Don't you think?
Definitely, yeah. And I think part of Kentucky can be a little bit more aggressive on the 3-point shooters, knowing that you have Jaden Quaintance kind of roaming in the in the paint area that you can kind of funnel. If you can run them off the 3-point line and funnel them into the paint, it's going to be a little bit easier to deal with when Jaden Quaintance is the guy waiting there, as opposed to Brandon Garrison or Malachi Moreno, who is a pretty solid rim protector so far, but not nearly as athletic and versatile as JQ is in that actual area. So, but yeah, I mean. And LeBaron Philon is he's a general, overall, he's a star for Alabama. Like he's just a guy that can score from anywhere. Like if you run him off the 3-point line, he can get into the paint, he can score from there, he can kick it out, he can dish it out. So just slowing him down will be if you can stop LeBaron Philon, you're going to have a good shot at winning this game overall, kind of, unless, like you said, Alabama still goes 22 of 55 or 54 from 3, whatever it is, which is, it is kind of every time I say it out loud, it sounds a little bit crazier, but
it does. But you know what? Philon didn't play last night.
Yeah, I think they held him out. I would be shocked, if they keep him out for that Kentucky game. I forget what the issue is, but it was like a minor injury thing.
Okay, so they shot 22 of 54 without an NBA player getting any clock.
Pretty good.
That's pretty scary, no question about it. Will there be too much pressure on Kentucky if they lose to Alabama with, JQ coming back more and Lowe hopefully being able to play 15 to 22 minutes? If they get blown out, are people going to go, woe is me, and go crazy, versus if they lose tight, you say there's hope? Do you think there might, not there would ever be an overreaction with Kentucky basketball fans, certainly not, right. But do you think there'll be an overreaction because they beat so many cupcakes and were playing so soft, and now they are much tougher, to say, the season's in a lot of trouble? I think there'll be some fans, if they lose 102-78 to Alabama, like Yale just lost, and I think Yale's on a different level than Kentucky. Kentucky's definitely much better. And I've watched, I've looked at a couple of Yale numbers the other day just because they were playing Alabama, but I didn't look at the box score till you said the 22 of 54, just to be honest. I think there'll be an overreaction, not that would be unusual.
Yeah, I mean, naturally there would be. If Kentucky loses by 25, there would definitely be an overreaction. But, I think this is a big confidence game for someone like Mo Diabate going against his former team. Like, I don't think he's going to be anyone that lacks any sort of juice or energy. So I think from the get-go, Kentucky should be at least ready to play. Mo Diabate in particular is going to be ready to play. His energy kind of bleeds out to the rest of the guys, or at least I'm of that belief. So, that would be a worst case scenario kind of thing to go in there and lose by that much, especially knowing that you've got your healthy roster now, and you're still kind of in the early stages of that. Like this is like the third rendition of this team that Pope is trying to coach right now. So there would be some calls for concern, but it is on the road. It's the first SEC game of the season. 10-day break in between games. Jalen Lowe didn't even play the last game, so really this one, you want to make sure that everyone can get out there and be healthy, and you can start to actually figure things out on the floor of how good this team actually can be. But I mean, if Kentucky loses by 1 or loses by 30, there will be overreactions no matter what.
Diabate fascinates me. There's no numbers, but just from memory, whether it's a Kentucky player or another player, when a player often goes back to a school where he played for, how many times have we seen somebody get a good game? Usually it's not. Usually it's pressure. And so if Diabate plays a really good game, that would be lovely. I'm not counting on it for him, but because toughness is different from shooting. Mm-hmm. And so, but the thing that would say to me is he going to get in foul trouble because he's anxious?
Yes.
and that's the one thing I'm going to look for is he anxious because he's going back? It's human nature. It's adrenaline. He's going to see friends. There'll be some fans booing him and cursing him in ways he probably hasn't heard in a long time. Although he's from New York, he's probably heard every curse word that you can think of. But it's a different level of pressure. So if he has a big game, that would be huge for 2 reasons.
Yeah, like you said, toughness travels. So I'm not worried about him being shook by the atmosphere, the energy of it all. Maybe I'm sure there will be nerves. I think that would be natural for anybody to come out there and play with some nerves. But when you talk about former players going against their old team, I immediately think of Bryce Hopkins, who has now played Kentucky twice for two different teams, and both times didn't exactly go great for him either. So there's a little bit of a recent precedent of why that can go poorly. But Bryce didn't really shoot the ball that well in those games, and Kentucky doesn't have Mo Diabate out there to shoot. They have him out there to rebound and be physical and play good defense. And, he's actually been, compared to at least his couple of seasons at Alabama, he's been much better about not getting into serious foul trouble so often, so early, which was kind of like that was basically the reason his minutes stayed under 20 minutes a game at Alabama. So I think he played 32 minutes against either St. John's or Bellarmine, one of those two. That was a season high for him, or a career high for him. So he's done much better lately about being able to keep himself on the floor. That's a big thing for him because he's very important. Even when he's not scoring the ball, he's just a guy that you really want to have out there because he can impact the game on both ends of the floor in necessary ways, especially when Kentucky is struggling to score, which has been the case for most of the season.
Yes or no? Is Cutter the quarterback next year for the University of Kentucky?
Who? Without saying any, without having any insider info attached to it, I will say yes.
Okay. I say it's 50-50 on the weak side.
I won't put a percentage on it. I'll just say yes. I think he will be at Kentucky next year. But
do you think they're trying to recruit over him? Because I do.
I don't know exactly if they're trying to recruit over him. I'm sure they're doing their due diligence and looking at other guys and trying to figure out if other guys would be good fits. I think I even when I was sitting in the little waiting room, I heard you say that Cutter wants to be here. I totally think that's 100%.
Yep,
that's 100% accurate. Cutter wants to be at Kentucky. But both sides have to be on the same page for everything. So
yes.
I think it's just going to come down to, maybe the discussion table of the closing table of, hey, how can we get this across the finish line? But, you're starting to slowly hear UK players hitting the portal. None of them have been too big surprises. Other than Steven Souls is probably the one guy that's of the 8 that we know that are going to be in the portal that you're actually maybe a little bit upset about that's going to go away. But, there's still a few more days till the portal opens, and then you got a 2-week window. So, I mean, this could go on a little bit with Cutter's situation at Kentucky and figuring out whether he comes back or not. But I 100% believe that he wants to be at Kentucky. I believe that Kentucky wants him to be at Kentucky. I don't know if they want him to be, the de facto starting guy from day one. I don't know that for a fact or not. But I'd say that they are more inclined to wanting to have him back on the team than not.
Oh, I agree with that. The only caveat to that is it's tough to pay Cutter as a backup and a number one guy because Cutter as a backup isn't going to be cheap. Yeah. And, because it's managing budgets. But if you were Cutter, as much as he wants to be here and wants to be the guy, would you stay if you're going to be the backup quarterback? I wouldn't. Would you?
No, I wouldn't. I don't think he wants to do that either. I think both sides understand that as well. So it's just a matter of, I guess, crossing the T's and dotting the I's and whatnot there. But, if they ultimately decide not to, Cutter can go to, there will be a ton of schools after him offering him a lot of money. So if I were Cutter, I would obviously survey all my options. I would look at everything that's on the table and I would decide, hey, I want to be at Kentucky. Is it prudent enough for me to get the money I want and the position I want, on the depth chart, or is it just better for me to go elsewhere and really explore my options and see what's out there? So, if I were in his situation, I'd probably do the exact same thing he's doing right now, which is taking his time and figuring out. And I mean, Will Stein's not even in Lexington yet, so there is kind of that layer to it where, if you're Cutter, you probably want your head coach to actually be here around the program all the time, and you get to know him a little bit better, and maybe that helps influence your decision one way or the other. So I'm sure that plays a part into it as well.
Well, he's spending time with Sloan. So,
yes, that's true.
And that's your guy. So we shall see. And I just hope one thing, and I've been saying this for a couple of weeks now, if he ends up leaving, I really hope fans don't jump on his case. You're a Kentucky boy. You're not being loyal. All this kind of stuff. Because it's obvious the kid wants to be here. He can't play in the NFL if he's a backup for the next couple of years. He just can't. It ain't Joe. I'm not saying he's Joe Burrow. Please. There's no Joe Burrow if he stays at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty simple. Anything else about UK? It's in your cranium that we haven't talked about that you have a fire in your belly?
Can I give a shout out to the volleyball team?
Sure.
Yeah, so I got really into the volleyball team. Well, last year is when we started to really watch them a little bit more and get more into it. But this year in particular, my fiance and I got a little bit more into actually sitting down and watching the games ourselves. We went to the Sweet 16 game. We were glued to the TV for that SEC tournament championship against Texas with the reverse sweep. We were losing our minds for the Wisconsin match. The national championship was obviously a bummer, but I wanted to give a shout out to Craig Skinner and that team because I know he gained a lot of fans. A lot of new Kentucky fans this season. A little bit different than the national championship team because that had the COVID aspect to it all. Like you couldn't actually go see those players and watch them and get to know them. Whereas this season, it felt like we were able to do that a little bit more. So really good job from them just in terms of attracting people to want to come and watch the product and become fans of the sport. So we're going to get some season tickets next year, and just really I'm on the volleyball train right now. So big shout out to them, and hopefully they can reload the roster. Like I'm paying attention to the volleyball transfer portal. I never thought I would do that in my life, and I'm doing that right now. Good
for you. Not only that, but we've talked to 3 of the players live, and Craig's done the show a couple times. The attitude of the young women on that team is about as good as it gets, about life, about teamwork, about playing together. It's unbelievable.
I've said it before, but to be a volleyball player, like you have to have, I think, probably the strongest mental approach to it of any of the sports that I've watched, because if 1 point turns into 2, turns into 3, like you can dig yourself in a hole pretty quickly if you don't bounce back. And that's why I love that, they're always like, even you never know which team lost a point sometimes because both teams are so excited and happy and trying to energize and rile each other up. So it's a very hard mental game for sure, and just a very hard physical game. So it's just a lot of fun to watch, and I'm glad that Kentucky is being able to really showcase that on a national stage right now.
I need you to be program director for me. Are you ready? Okay, so we usually play Pope Live. They had some computer problems. We've had computer problems. Everybody, KSR's had computer problems. Everybody's had computer problems. Anybody who says they do a show like this and doesn't have computer problems, they're either perfect or a liar, and I'm going to go with the liar part. He only went 13 minutes. Did you summarize it, or do I need to play the whole 13 minutes?
I summarized the key points there. I mean, he got some good stuff on Alabama. I'm also trying to half type stuff on message boards and everything while I'm doing all that. So I would go listen to it. I'm sure there's enough in there. Like, he talks about the season as a whole so far, the non-conference, what he's, especially the 3-point shooting, how he thought that's gone, and how the defense has kind of improved. Defensive communication in particular has improved from the start of the season to now. So there's some interesting stuff in there. Like I said, it's only 13 minutes, so I would run through it and give it the old listen.
Oh, I'm going to listen to it. The question is, do I play it during the show?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you have it. Zach, give a great plug for you. You do a hell of a job. You're rising up in the business. I support you, and I like what you're doing. So give yourself a great plug.
Well, thank you very much, Alan. I appreciate always coming on. As always, you can follow me on Kentucky Sports Radio, Zach Gagan. I'm on there all the time. On Twitter at ZGaganKSR. I also co-host a basketball breakdown film show on our YouTube channel with my friend Brandon Ramsey, who I know is a co-host or a frequent guest of yours on this show as well. So we do a lot of breakdown stuff over there where I just kind of set things up for Brandon and let his coach brain go talk, and we have a lot of fun with that. So those are some of the places you can find me. But yeah, we're just getting ready for Saturday at this point. So I'll be going down to Tuscaloosa with a couple of our KSR friends, and we'll be hopefully bringing back a Kentucky win. So.
I know this will be so powerful, me saying this. I'm reeking with sarcasm. Tell Matt you deserve a raise.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah,
I'll text him
sure
right now.
Coming from me, it'll be just so powerful. Hey, man, Happy New Year. Thanks a lot. Appreciate you. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Happy New Year as well. Appreciate it.
Thanks, man. See you
Later.
Sean, see you. Sean, he's really good. The kid's got a great future. I wish I was that young with his future. I think I was, as I recall. Yeah.
Were you?
Yes.
Okay.
And then I met you.
Was everything in black and white then, or just TV?
Most things. Thank you very much. We'll have to figure out about the Pope. 13 minutes is being exported now. So when you pull it in, go for it. Roger Harden was supposed to be at 1:30. Then I asked him 1:15. But if we can move Roger up now, if you want to call him in the commercial break and explain why, we can talk to Roger, and then you can tell me when Pope is in, and maybe we can play Pope for the last couple minutes. What do you think about that for a game plan?
Yeah, if it comes across, we'll get it in.
All right. I tell you what's a good game plan. It's been wonderful for me. Blue Lotus Health, 859-533-0914. 859-533-0914. Acupuncture. Now also providing a licensed massage therapist. Acupuncture, my friend, Ramon Carriega. He's a special dude on for Sales Road. Please use my name. He's helped me tremendously, and I hope he's sticking needles in me. Boy, this sounds weird, Sean, but it's true. 30 years from now, wouldn't it be nice? I'll be doing the show. I'll be 92 years old. How about that? 93 years old. I don't even know how old I am.
In 30 years?
Yeah.
Do your math again.
I know. I didn't want to say 100. Shut up, Sean. That was actually done on purpose, and I thought I slipped it by you. And
No.
boy, was I wrong. Before we go to break, I got to say this. When they got Troy Stiletto to come here in a portal from Clemson, I didn't think he'd be the number one receiver. I really thought he would help as a possession receiver. I said this on the air, so I'm no filtering myself. I thought there'd be some 3rd and 5s and 3rd and 4s and 3rd and 7s where he would get the first down. He got good hands, did a nice job at Clemson. He had no career here. He's in the portal. I didn't think he was an NFL player. I didn't think he would be all conference. I didn't think he'd be all-star teams, but I thought he'd be a good guy to have on your team because he's got good hands, runs good routes, and I think they could have really used him. I don't know what happened, but he had basically no career here, and he's in the portal. So whatever it is, I don't know the kid, but I actually thought it was a smart pickup by Stoops, right? Hey, can't get them all right. Can't get them all right. Maybe Roger Harden coming up next. If not, in a couple minutes, we'll play it by ear. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
No Filter Radio with Alan Cutler, brought to you by Quantrell Auto Group. Quantrell.
All right. I will call him now, see if he can get him.
Yeah, explain because of the computer problem with Pope and whatever. He either can do it or he won't care if he can do it. I bet he does.
Okay. Call him now.
And if not, ask him what time. And if he says 1:30, we won't play Pope unless Pope comes down really quick. It's all good.
Works for me.
Yeah.
Subaru is stepping up in a big way, more than doubling that, donating a total of $550 for every new Subaru purchased or leased now through January 2nd. Be part of the community and help make a difference through the 2025 Share the Love event at Quantrell Subaru. Learn more at QuantrellSubaru.com.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients, offering risk management services that range from a renter's policy for your college student to home and auto coverage for your entire family. Houchins Insurance Group assures you that nobody works harder to keep you protected from life's uncertainties. Reach out to AJ Boss or Zach Bennett at 859-263-2771 to see if Auto Owners Insurance makes sense for you.
W223CV Lexington. ESPN Sports Radio 1300 and 92.5. WLXG Lexington and LM Communications Broadcasting Station. The only no-filter sports show in Kentucky. It's the Alan Cutler Show with award-winning TV sportscaster Alan Cutler.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM and 92.5 FM. Is Roger in?
Well, I told you Roger was in, but it looks like he dropped the call.
Oh, okay. Can you call him back, or do we need to take a break?
Let's take a 30-second break, and I'll get him back.
Okay, let's do it. Roger Hart next.
Houchins Insurance Group is proud to partner with Auto Owners Insurance, a company that provides opportunity for independent agents to make insurance simple for their clients.
The Alan Cutler Show on ESPN 92.5 and 1300 AM and on the ESPN Lexington app. Presented by Republic Bank.
Welcome back. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM. And now, ladies and gentlemen, my favorite guest who can't do the show because he's got to work. I mean, work? What's work? Roger Allen Harden, Kentucky, 1982 to 1986, Studley point guard, friend, smart dude, born to play point guard. That's what he was born to do, like Lowe was born to play point guard. It's kind enough to join us. Roger, it'll be great hearing your voice. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope your family's doing great.
Thank you, Alan. Always a very nice introduction, and it's always good to be on your show. And back in the mid 80s when I was playing, 5:48 or whatever it was, 6 whatever, whenever you came on, all the Wildcats were watching Alan Cutler. When you came into town, you took it by storm, my man. So it's a pleasure to be on.
Well, thank you. It's very kind. Really, really, really kind.
Yes. And that's the truth. That's the truth. We loved you.
And you know what? And I'm very fortunate with the relationships of former athletes, which is why somebody come on the show. And, you know, I didn't know I was going to be doing a talk show in my 70s. Who we kidding? But it's amazing that relationships back then have been fortuitous in helping me out today. And this show is just to help rekindle relationships because, you know, you move on, you do other things, you don't talk to people, and then you start talking to people again. It's like you never left. It's an amazing thing, which has been part of the joy of doing the show.
It is. And you allowing me to come on and talk basketball is a joy. I know I live here in Carrollton, Kentucky. I'm the high school basketball coach here at Carroll County High School. Proud to be a Panther. But when I come on with you, I always have several people that listen to the show. They follow your social media account, and I've enjoyed following you. I keep up with the Cats through you. And a couple other ones I'm not up to date as much as I have been in the past, but it's always a joy to come on and talk to you. And you always send me nice texts throughout the years. And, you know, you were, and I've read the book. Okay, I've read your book. But you were always, you would put us on a little bit of a pedestal when we earned it. You were critical when we deserved it, but you were always genuine. So I think that's why, and you were flamboyant, you were colorful. At that time, I thought, you had great other sportscasters there with Rob Bromley and with Kenny Rice, who I both have good relationships with as well. It was a golden era of local coverage, if I might say so.
Yeah, it really was. I always thought, and this is not blowing my horn, but all three of us could have worked in other places, and Kenny's only been on NBC Network for over a quarter of a century. So, you know, I think he did okay. And Kenny does the show a lot, and Kenny and I are really good friends. And I haven't talked to Rob in a long time. I need to check in with him to see how he's doing and stuff like that. Rob's done the show, but Kenny's done it a lot. And all three of us.
I've heard them both.
All three of us could have worked at different places. I always
like to listen.
I'm sorry for stepping on you, Roger.
Were amazing. No, you're good. I mean, you all had great careers. Yeah.
Well, it's also lucky and blessed when you have a great town to do sports in. You know, what I always told the people in New York was this was a major league town in a smaller city. It's not New York with the Mets and the Yankees and stuff like that, but in its own way, and I explained this to my family and friends in New York. And some of them bought it and some of them didn't. They just the way it is. But the passion for sports here, especially with Kentucky basketball, it's second to none. It really is. And I think unless you live here, it's almost tough to understand.
Well, there's no question about that. I mean, as many of the people who have followed my career and many of the other of our Wildcats, I mean, I grew up playing Indiana high school basketball where, we would take anywhere from 18 to 20 school buses to our away games. The town was very involved with it. They used to soap the windows when it came to state tournament time. All the business would have Go Vikings, and the mayor would come out, and we'd have a big pep session. But when all of my friends and family would come to Rupp Arena and experience the lobby of Rupp, and of course we'd go out to lunch or dinner somewhere, inevitably when you're playing. And occasionally as the years go by, you still have people recognize you, particularly when you were playing. You're signing autographs, the respect, the adoration that the fans show you, in the malls and stuff like that. They were just completely blown away. It was another level of passion and commitment from a fan base. So I was blessed to be able to experience both of those. So and reconnecting with a lot of those guys, at this point in your life, I just turned 62. Those relationships, like you mentioned, those are the most valuable things, which in today's era, I hope that, these players, as they go through the way that college basketball is, and I don't know what their tie will be with their coach. Both the coaches that I played for, Coach Sutton and Coach Hall, remained in my life really up until, they left this world. Weddings, Coach Hall was at my wedding. I mean, Coach Sutton was on speed dial when I took my first high school coaching job, as well Coach Hall was. They followed me, they encouraged me. So those are things that I hope in today's environment, those kids or those players, I don't want to say kids because they're young men, hopefully they can hang on to some of those relationships, and that's what's going to mean a lot to them as the years go by. They don't know that yet, but...
Sorry for stepping in, Roger. You're right. They don't know it yet. And by the way, for you younger people out there, Roger was only a parade All-American, was only Mr. Basketball in Indiana back in the day. I'm glad you brought that up. You know what's sad? And if I'd love to be wrong, but there is no way most of these kids, because of the transferring, are going to have relationships like you had with both your coaches, like you have with Kenny Skywalker, like you have with many of your other teammates, because you spent so many years together. It's almost impossible. There'll be exceptions to the rule, but somebody who's played 4 schools in 4 years, what the hell kind of reunions you're going to go to unless you win a national championship or something like that, and then it becomes a different level. But they're not going to have the relationships that you guys had. They're just not going to. Probability-wise, it's almost remote that they're going to have the same kind of relationships that you guys had.
Yes, and I don't want to be like one of these old guys coming on that is complaining about today's game, because it is what it is, and I try to enjoy it. I mean, being negative about it, I don't want to put that vibe out, but I just look at my experience, and of course I always lived through our basketball team, and kind of I feel like I'm in the locker room with them, and I'm playing for Coach Pope, even though I'm a member of the Big Blue Nation now. I don't really see myself as I look at it, when I watch it as a former player, I think about, gosh, what would it be like to play for him or play with them? And, wonder what they experience after the games, in between games when they have some tough losses. We had some embarrassing losses when I was at Kentucky, not 40, but it was, back then 20 was 40, right? I mean, how are they going? How are they handling that? What did we do to get back? I was a member in '85. We got the Boo Birds quite a bit in Rupp Arena. We started 1-4. which was one of the worst starts up until I think Cal had a team that went 1-4. I think you had me on during that time, and you said, "Hey, you remember that 1-4 start when you were a junior year?" And so but we ended very strong. We ended up going to the Sweet 16 and almost upset St. John's until Kenny got his eye poked. But I just wonder, I think about what it was, but I think it's just a whole new rhythm. These guys, I think they all understand they're just there for a year. Most of them are, and it's probably very easy and difficult to get them to go through that grind, to keep going, because when it gets hard, you can go somewhere next year or whatever. You're making money, at that young of an age. From a coach's standpoint, it's got to be challenging to keep them involved and all in for the cause. And so I have a lot of empathy for the coaches, particularly that either played or coached under a different system. But so I get a lot of leeway to Coach Pope and all the other coaches across the country. I know Scott Drew real well. I know the Drew family, and the guys from my generation are kind of at the top of the mountain right now in college basketball. So I know everybody's adjusting and stuff like that. So, but it's still exciting. I still look forward to watching the Cats in the next game, and are we going to really become who I think we can become, or are we not? So, and being a high school coach, I look at what Coach Pope says and a lot of the other coaches say about how to motivate players and how to get your team to peak.
If you played at Kentucky, and I do think Joe B would be different if he was coaching today with a 3-point shot, he'd still be tough because he's Joe B. Can you imagine how many points you would have averaged if Kentucky shot 54 threes like Alabama just did against Yale, and they made 22 and shot 41%? Raj, would you have averaged 16, 18 points at Kentucky?
I think I definitely would have averaged double figures, probably my junior, certainly my senior year. But what I really would have enjoyed, I've told everybody, I played 4 years at the University of Kentucky, and I never, I started basically 3 years. My sophomore year, I think I started 19 or 20 games till Dickey came back. But I didn't get one ball screen. Like ball screens, we didn't set ball screens in that era. And when you get a ball screen and you got somebody like Bowie or Turpin, or you got Kenny Walker rolling, you got Jim Master in a corner, you got another shooter over here, you got James Blackman, or you got Eddie Davender, or some of the great shooters, the Troy McKinleys of the world, that would have just been great. It's really about like being a quarterback. You just have your sequence of what you're looking for. And I would have really enjoyed that. I mean, back in the day on a fast break, Alan, our fast break drill, most people run a 3-on-2, 2-on-1 drill. It's still relevant today. You're getting out on a fast break. But when we would run the 3 against 2, that would be the first leg of the drill. The guy was if you had the ball, you were trying to get to the middle, and the guys on the sides would run free throw line extended, and then they would make a 45-degree cut towards the block. So that, right, in today's game, right, you're getting up the floor. You either want to throw it up the street for a 3. That's like almost a step or two past the 10-second line, the half-court line, or you throw it across the street, which is what Alabama is notorious for, and he's going to take that early 3. Now, that would have been a beautiful world for a guard to play in. That's like almost too good to be true for an 80s point guard playing college basketball, right? So that I was, some of the older coaches that I visit with along the way, we talk about how the game changed, but I love the change, the way that it's played today. I think it's a little more entertaining. I think, it's more creative. You got like 7-footers popping for 3s. Those are a premium. And then if you can post up as well, so I think the guys from my era could have played in this era if we knew that's how the game was going to be played when we were coming up, right? If I know I can spot up for a 3 or Kenny Walker realized that, hey, there's a premium on a guy that can set a ball screen or buoy. Or Turpin was a fantastic outside shooter. And, he could have picked and popped, and he was great on the roll. So you would grow up taking those shots, practicing those shots. Those are shots that we were forbidden to take. You know what I mean? So, but I like the change. I love the change. So I think the way the game's played is the least of the problems. You got the shot clock. We didn't play with the shot clock when I played. But I think my senior year we had a 45-second shot clock. Can you imagine that? A 45-second shot clock, which never really came into play unless it was at the end of the game and you had to take a shot before, the regulation clock went off. So, but yeah, so I enjoyed, I think, our game against Bama. It's Saturday, right?
Yep.
We got Bama Saturday. So I think that's going to be a big game. I think that's going to tell us a lot about where we're at. I know we played, what was it, Bellarmine. But, I mean, they've had time to maybe retool, rest, get healthy. So I think we got to show really well. I think we got to show really well in Tuscaloosa. I'm talking about from the fans' sake. I think we had great wins against St. John's in Indiana. But I've always believed if you can win on the road or compete on the road and get, if play a team that, you're probably not supposed to be really close to the wire or win on the road in the SEC, I think that's a big foreshadowing of what you can do in the NCAA tournament. I've always thought that was kind of a bellwether thing to look at.
It's funny you mentioned Turpin. I just recently saw a quote where Joby was quoted as saying that Melvin was the best shooting big man he'd ever seen. Yeah. And it's really sad he didn't play in the NBA forever.
Yes, it is. He was, and I'm going to say this about Melvin. He was a great guy. Melvin Turpin, he was friendly. He was kind. He was, he was just I thought he was a wonderful human being. He always called me Slim.
Wow. I didn't know that. He called you Slim. Nice.
Yeah, he called me. Yeah. I mean, he was notorious for giving people nicknames. But he was fantastic, and a lot of us had little brothers, and they would always come over. Like if we had a Saturday game that maybe was late in the afternoon, like your little brothers or some of your family would drop by Wildcat Lodge for a minute. And of course, back in the day, on Saturday morning, right, that's cartoon hour. We all would watch. I didn't watch a lot of cartoons in college, but Melvin loved the cartoons, and all the little brothers or sisters would go in there and watch cartoons with Melvin. They had a blast with him. It was great.
He was a gentle giant.
He was. He really was. So, and then of course I roomed with Sam, who I thought was one of the funniest human beings I've ever been around. I mean, he kept you laughing all the time.
Yeah, he could needle now. He could needle you.
Yes. Well, he's high level. He's articulate. He's high level. Bowie was a high level master of getting people to do what he wanted them to do, which was great as far as like getting players ready for the game or get your mood right or pick you back up. He was a great encourager.
If Bowie played today with his ability to handle the ball, which Joe B obviously wouldn't allow. And many of you through the years have told me when you've had your summer pickup games, he'd be shooting threes and bring the ball up and put the ball behind his back. His dad was a magician, which was a team which was a weak level, still was a weak level Harlem Globetrotters team. Can you imagine if Sam played today and was healthy?
Yeah, he was great. I mean, he would have been fantastic. I mean, the thing is, if you go back and you watch his freshman year at Kentucky and the way he ran the floor and the speed that he played at, I thought he was one of the. I remember Jerry West, a quote by Jerry West because he had a little time with the Lakers. He was a great passer. I mean, Bowie he was a fantastic passer. I mean, he could. He could fan it. He could throw the outlet pass. He was great at hitting a cutter. We ran that high-low offense, and he would just put it. Melvin would have his man pinned down there, and he just put it right there where it needed to be, and it was just a quick up and 2 points. So yeah, he was a fantastic passer, but he his jumper, he didn't shoot it a lot. I thought in his career, I think in the NBA started shooting it when he was 15, 16 feet out. Even in his area, there wasn't a lot of threes shot in the NBA back then. I saw Larry Bird the other day talking about they shot threes, but it was only kind of like when you were down or if you were open or something like that. But there wasn't a philosophical commitment to shoot a lot of threes really during the 80s and 90s. I mean, they started shooting more, but it wasn't like, it's either a three or you're taking it to the hole, right? So, but there's more of a commitment to get off threes in the NBA too. I think that was the kind of derives from all the metrics that come from the amount of threes you shoot and play the percentage game.
As a coach, if you were coaching Kentucky today and your best point guard has a bad shoulder that's tenuous at best, and so much of your team's fortunes are riding upon that, because maybe Jasper will turn into a really good backup point guard, and I'm not saying he can't. I'm open-minded that he can, but he hasn't done it yet. It's a lot to learn on the college level. How difficult would it be going into every game knowing I don't know what I'm going to get from my point guard for the rest of the year? That's got to be difficult.
Yeah. Well, it's the second year we're in this situation, right?
Yep.
And so maybe philosophically we need to recruit two good point guards, or maybe have somebody. And, the shoulder situation, I don't know where that is. That's kind of unusual to have two guards. I can't remember anybody that I follow basketball at all the levels. We have two guys with shoulder problems. I don't know if it's like the same thing or something. I don't know if it was the reason I bring that up is we had a rash of ACLs at Kentucky when I played there. Winston Bennett, James Blackman. I'm trying to remember who else. I think Ziegler had one. I'm trying to think. There was like two more that we had, and it got down to where I think it was Dr. Andrews, who was like the pioneer in that surgery, asked what we were doing in the weight room. And what we were doing was when we would do our squats, we would get they would have a 2x4, and you would like put the back of your foot on that board while you were doing squats, right? Well, he immediately was like, you got to stop that like right now, because that's way too much. You're putting too much weight and pressure on that knee area, on your quads. So we immediately stopped doing that, and I think things kind of chilled out. So I'm not sure if they've looked to like, what are we doing in the weight room that we got some point guards with some shoulder problems. I'm sure they've looked into that. But secondly, if you don't have a point guard, well, you see the effect when he's in the game that he has on the team, right? So, I mean, it's like night and day. The tempo, guys realize, he's unselfish. You're going to get it. So there's an art form to like, if you're going to create, because point guards, you want to be able to create a shot it was done different in my era, but you got to be able to create, draw some type of help to get, the ball over there. And, you got to be able to dish on the way to the hole. If you got the big man coming at you, you got to be able to know where his man is and get it to him. So, it takes a while to really get good at that. So, but really it's a mindset too. It's more of a mindset. Like Jasper, when I watch his game, like he's a scorer. He's a shooter. He's a scorer, right? He's got a scorer's mentality. So it's difficult to go from a scorer's mentality when you've never had a point guard mentality. It all starts with your mentality. So the first thing he'll have to change is like the way when he gets the ball, what am I really trying to do here? I'm not saying, because he's always been called on to score points. So, but he does make good passes. I mean, I think he's got good court vision. I don't think he's a selfish kid. I just think that's just the way that he's trained, and that's who he's been on all of his basketball teams. He was a scorer, a shooter. He goes to the hole. He's got great moves when he goes to the hole. So, but that's a whole nother thing. And you got to come to terms with the fact that, you're going to be you're like the candy man. You got to make the world go around, right? You're passing out the candy to everybody. So when I got that, I came with a little bit more of a scoring mentality than I did a point guard mentality. That's why I was run to the top of Rupp Arena many, many times. And so Coach Hall finally ran that out of me. But when I surrendered to what my role needed to be, I was amazed how much control you have over a game when you can get him a shot. Like, I was always conscientious of who hasn't had a shot. Like, early, I'm trying to get everybody involved, right? I want to see who's hot. Got to get it to him if he's hot, but at the same time, you got to keep him going. And I'll never forget, I think I told this story on your show. My sophomore year, I only played like 3 or 4 minutes at Kentucky. And, of course, we started out, I think, maybe one in the country with Bowie and Turpin. We had Walker. And we were running somewhat of a triple post offense where my options were Bowie, Turpin, and Walker. And so a lot of times you're looking in there. And I asked Coach Hall, I said, Coach, confidentially, like, who do you want me to get the ball to more than the other? I mean, I know Turpin's good on the block, but is somebody there that I want? And he said, I can't really answer that, Roger, but if one of those three show up in my office telling me that they don't get the ball enough, I know I've got the wrong point guard.
Wow.
I was like, oh, thanks a lot, right?
Wow.
He said, well, I said, because, you know, if Bowie's posted up, like, Melvin's probably a better block scorer than he is. Do you want me to, like, wait where he's got a cross screen for him to come over and then he pops to the high post? He's a great, or do you want me to get it to Bowie? He goes, I don't know. I can't really answer that question. But if one of them shows up in my office saying they're not getting the ball enough, I know I've got the wrong point guard. So it was like I had to figure that out, right? But
and I'm sure
they
you
were
did
both unselfish
and you did
ball
instantly.
players.
You did instantly.
Yes. Well, Bowie was my roommate, right? Bowie was my roommate, so I was and then I came in with Sky. Me and Sky were very close when we were there. We're still close when we see each other. It's just like, you know, what time's practice today, right? It's like you go back to yesteryear and Turpin. So, but that's just kind of the little things as a point guard when you go out. In my opinion, point guards have to be conscientious of, like, you've got to get people involved early, and you got to know what the coach is looking to do. You got to understand what he wants you to do, and you know, you got to execute. They always used to say that, you know, you're extension of the coach out there. And when you have a good one, let me tell you something, you sleep well. You don't worry about pressure defense. You don't worry about your offense really flowing and things like that. And hopefully in the future, we'll get a really good backup point guard in the future.
Well, you know, part of the problem with the backup point guard is Roger Harden, former Mr. Basketball Indiana, third-team All-SEC at Kentucky, big-time point guard back in the days when I think FDR was president. I get my presidents mixed up. I think it's difficult.
It was Hoover. It was Hoover. I played under Hoover.
Pre-World War II. I was a history major.
There you go.
You know, it's difficult. For example, Kaden Lewis, as you know, committed here, was coming here. And I've said this many times. The second that Lowe said he was coming, he was gone. He was gone. Yeah. Because his dad wouldn't allow it. And my buddy Dick Hoops Weiss, who I talk to all the time privately and does a show every now and then, he said he's having a great freshman year for Villanova. You can't I think it's difficult to keep two point guards at the prices unless it's unusual. It can be done, but unless it's an unusual circumstance, because there was no thought process of saying, Jasper, you might end up playing point guard 15, 18 minutes a game this year. This just evolved, and I think the kid is smart, and I think he'll get better. But you're exactly right. He's a shoot first point guard. And I think he can change, but I think it's going to take a while. And I don't think it's as easy as it was back in the good old days, because look, you were a parade All-American, and you weren't going to start as a freshman, and you accepted it. But I got to tell you something, Raj, you're a smart guy. If this were today, okay, and I know you're going to be brutally honest, and you were a parade All-American this year, okay, and Mr. Basketball in Indiana this year, and you're coming to Kentucky and they're paying you X number of hundreds of thousands of dollars. God bless, more power to you. That's not where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden they recruit someone who you're smart enough to know that if they're not going to take your job, you might lose half your job. You don't want to come here because you're a parade All-American. And today, I think you would accept it a lot less than you did in the 1980s because the game was different. People's attitudes were different. You accepted having a lighter role in the first year, which I don't know if you'd accept now because of the money and the changing and the time and that kind of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes complete sense. And I actually was in this conversation with somebody the other day, and they basically said the same thing, not quite as articulate and with insight that you just did. But I think if I was the coach, I think you got to go get somebody that's probably athletically able to do some things at maybe a small D1 somewhere. The thought of him playing at Kentucky, you could probably pay him really good money and then show him a future beyond basketball here. I would really sell the opportunities. I think one of the things, I don't know if they sell this when they're recruiting, but if you come here, let's say you're a senior or a junior, or it's your last year, our people really remember you, and they pretty much remember you from your last year, the way you go out, and just the opportunities that you're probably not going to be an NBA player, but you're going to get to play at Kentucky, a potential national championship run. You're going to play for the greatest fans in the world. Sure, you could go over here. I think you could pay a kid at one of those lower level D1s that probably isn't getting a lot of love and explain the situation to him. And if, I can't guarantee you any playing time, but if you do get it, if we get in a position, like when I was with the Lakers, it was like, my agent told me, if you're going to make the Lakers, they're looking for somebody to give Magic 6 to 8 minutes of rest. You're not going to hurt them on defense. They liked me because I knew how to feed the post. They had, I was playing with Kareem, and we had some Worthy who liked to post up as well, so I could get the ball to the post. They perceived me as going to be a good culture player there. I think that's what you got to look for, and I think you got to pay those guys a premium for it. He might not ever see the floor much, but in case you do, we're not in a situation where we have somebody that doesn't have point guard experience. He doesn't have that mentality. He has shown you that you can play against pressure. He can play against the point guard that you want every day. The greatest thing that happened to me was that I had to play against Dickie Beal and Dirk Minifield every day in practice. I knew it didn't matter who I was playing the rest of my career. I was never going to play anybody any quicker than Dickie Beal that could get up on you and get ball pressure. I wasn't going to play against a guard that was any more athletic in my 4 years there at Kentucky than Dirk Minifield. And so I had confidence when I went out there. So if you get one of those kids that just has played point guard for 2 or 3 years at the college level, that, in my opinion, would be the road that I would try to go down to, because it's just when you get in this situation, you get pressed, you got a guy that you get ball pressure early. He's not used to handling it. You got to learn how to handle that pressure and just still get the ball into your offense, and it's got to flow. He's going to have an idea how to do that. He doesn't have to be a big scorer. He's probably played with maybe the leading scorer of the MAC, and you liked how he got him the ball. You watched the game from that vernacular, and I think that's one of those things that I would look at if I was going to try to always have a backup point guard. I think I'd always have one in my pocket, because look where we're at. We were stalled last year, right? We couldn't grow as a team. We were a different team when Butler was in there, 100%. And of course, you just never knew where he was going to be injury wise. So I don't think we can keep taking that chance every year. So I'm not being critical, but I'm just trying to be insightful to say, hey, I think we need to go out of our way to get a really good, a backup quarterback.
Funny you should say that. That's exactly what I said about 3 weeks ago. that there's some Kentucky boy, some Kentucky kid who's playing at a lower level, who can handle the ball and pass the ball, knows he's not going to play, wants to be around Kentucky. And I'm going to guess they really haven't looked for that. And I'm going to guess Pope will look for that for next season. Because I got to tell you, had Caden Lewis stayed here, first of all, he'd be starting now. There's no question about it. But I didn't blame the kid for not wanting to come here, even though people say, it's Kentucky. No, he's starting on Villanova. You know, he had 5 rebounds and 16 points the other night as a not a very big point guard. And my buddy Dick Coops, who I've seen many times, he says, you got to see him. He's really good. Matter of fact, he happens to like him better than Lowe. But the point is, if Lowe is healthy, I'd be really happy with Lowe. And that's not a negative comment to anybody. But I think you're going to have to do that down the road. There's some Kentucky kid or somebody who loves Kentucky watching growing up that would come here for the last year. And maybe I'm throwing numbers that are bogus, but I'm just throwing it out there. At a smaller school, he ain't making $100,000. Okay. And it's not like you got to pay him $4 million here. But you could probably pay him $120,000, and boy, that can really set you up for down the road. And they probably can get you a couple endorsements on the side. And now you leave college with 6 figures, maybe in the bank after taxes, and you have the experience of Kentucky. And you can eat as much filet mignon as you want here now. You know?
Yes.
So my point is, I bet they do that, and that's exactly what I would do. Exactly. I got 30 seconds. Tell me how your basketball team is and how much fun you're having, because I like to keep track with you. And there's a lot of people that still remember you, believe it or not.
Well, the Carroll County Panthers are 7-5. We're very close. I mean, I look back. There's only one team that I felt like was better. We lost by 3. We lost by 2 in one game. We had possessions against teams that usually the game was over at halftime. So we've made great progress here. 7-5 is a very good start for us. My kids play hard. They play together. I'm having a blast. So it's the experience that I've been looking for, and it's been a grind. When I got here, I was the 3rd coach in 4 years. We were always at the bottom of the region. So I'm starting to see some of the time that me and my staff have put into our ball players. I got great kids. I got great parents, and I'm having a great experience, and I'm very thankful for it.
You belong on the court. By the way, and I've said this to you before, you and Sean Woods got to play a game. Seriously. You got to play a game.
I don't know.
Wait a second, let me tell you something. If Woody ducks you, Woody does a show every week. I love Woody. You know, and he busts my chops. Matter of fact, it's in the open where he made me say I love him before he would hang up the phone. It's pretty funny. So if you ever hear the open of the show, he's in there, and he's really proud of himself because he got me really good. But you, Roger, if he's ducking you, I want you to tell me I will destroy him during my show and would enjoy destroy. I mean, you have no idea how I will go after him, and he knows that too. And destroy him because we destroy each other.
Well, the Scott County Cardinals are off to a great start. I think he's lost 2. He's had some really good wins. It feels like not being in the community. My son lives in Georgetown. I think they're starting to get excited about Scott County Cardinal basketball again over there. So I think he's off to a great start. He's got some, I'm sure, big games ahead in the regional game. So I think that's a really good start for them. I'm not sure what they are, 6-2, 7-2, 8-2 or something, but I think he's only got 2 losses right now, and they were very close, which doesn't surprise me. So they're a level above us, but I definitely would want to play him. He's going to put that tenacious man-to-man defense on the Carroll County Panthers, and he's going to get it out, and he's going to go. And in that scenario, Alan, I've got to have 2 really good guards, which I think I'll have by next year, and we are going to try to play slow.
Hey, Roger,
and we're going to take time off the clock. And
we're
going to massage every angle. And when he gets a run, I'm going to tip over a water bottle, so they got to come and wipe the floor up. I'm going to have to do everything in the book to try to slow this game down. No, I will. I'll
You
play,
will?
but that's
Okay.
how I got to play him.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
I'll
fine.
play him.
Okay,
I'll play
I'm
anybody.
I'm a minute over on the show, so I'm late. But I'm going to tell you this: what I want to do. I know with your
Okay.
schedule and stuff, I want to have the two of you on together, and we're gonna get this game done on the air. And if I feel at all that either one of you is ducking the other, I'm going to destroy either one of you. Because,
I'm not afraid to lose.
Oh, you know what? We're going to save this clip for the next time Woody comes on. We're going to. We're going to play it. Hey, God bless you. It's great hearing your voice.
Always a pleasure, Alan.
Keep on coaching. I know there's some thought you didn't want to coach forever, dude. You belong on the court. It's your love. You're great at it. You can help kids out. You are helping kids out. The satisfaction you help. If you're ever thinking about retiring, you need to call me first because I'll talk you out of it. Seriously.
I appreciate that, Alan.
You need to be on the court for the basketball knowledge and the knowledge you are helping young people, which is desperately needed. Desperately needed. Bless you, brother. I got to run. Sean's about to
Thanks,
go.
Alan.
I'm going into the next show. Bless you, man. Roger, Happy New Year. And hopefully before the NCAA tournament, you can squeeze in a half hour.
I certainly will, Alan. I appreciate it. Have
Thanks,
a good
Raj.
one. Happy
You
New
too.
Year to you.
Back
All right,
at
see
you, brother.
Bye-bye.
See you. Sean, I know I'm late as heck, but and we didn't play Pope. Maybe we'll play it on Friday. I'll look at it today. Roger's great. And Sean, we're going to get Scott County and Carroll County playing. Don't you think that's the right thing to do?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Roger and Sean playing a one-on-one. But yeah, I mean, if the schools can play, that'd be awesome too.
Oh no, we'll get. If they played one-on-one, we need a medic there.
You could ref.
Well, I could ref sitting in a chair. I ain't moving. I know I got to get out of here. Brad Taylor coming up next. I will talk to you again on Friday. We have bowl games, right? The next 2 days.
Actually, coming up next, we got the Independence Bowl.
And who's in the Independence Bowl?
Oh God, I don't know.
Off the top of my head, I don't know. I'm asking you because I don't remember either. Anyway, bowl games the next 3 days, and now I'm getting excited when the real bowl games are about to begin. And no disrespect to the other things, but I want to.
Yeah, we do have the Music City Bowl with Tennessee and Illinois later today.
Oh,
and
that's
the Alamo
good.
Bowl tonight.
So. Okay, guess what? You know what? If I'm in the car, I'm going to be listening.
Yeah, some bigger name ones.
Yeah, no, that's really good stuff. Sean, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Save the Pope thing. I'll send you a note. Have a blessed day. Please don't drink and drive. Happy New Year. Count your blessings. And thank you for all that listen and tell a friend or two. You are helping spread this thing, and I'm having a great time. Happy New Year. God bless you. Alan Cutler, 1300 AM, 92.5 FM.
Ho, ho, ho.
What are you doing, Uncle Rick?
I can hear the show in the background. Is that the commercial? Now it's gone.
Yeah.
Now it's gone. I heard Roger for about 15 seconds. Was he on the air before you piped him down? Was that my ears?
So.
Okay.
I don't know. He might have been.
Okay. All good. So if I can hear it, that means it's on the air, right?
Not necessarily. Okay. With Roger, it would have, but with the commercials, no, because I've gone into auto mode, so it wasn't actually on the air.
Okay. Hi, this is Alan Cutler at 1300 AM and 92.5 FM, also on the ESPN Sports Lexington app. Coming up on Friday, gonna have some fun. Dr. John Wong, Brandon Ramsey, Doug Barnes. See you Friday at noon.
All right.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir. I think I will be back in here on Friday as well.
Yeah, Jimmy texts me that he's back on the 5th, right?
Yeah, back on Monday.
Okay. By the way, do you still have it? If not, it's no big deal. Where the Kentucky guys from 75 were talking about Bobby Knight smacking Joby Hall. Do we still have that?
Oh, yeah, it's still in the system.
Okay, I might use it Friday.
Okay.
Okay, thanks, dude. See you, man.